Hello everyone. Welcome to a week of Algos brought to you by Developer Student Clubs, Manipal University, Jaipur. A week of Algo intends to help you kickstart your coding journey by making you familiar with data structures such as arrays, stacks, and queues, taught to you from the real life applications. We'll have casual talks with the speakers, which will help you figure out how to land up at a top product based company such as Fang. And later, we will give you tips on how to boost up your LinkedIn profile. We'll be having fun quizzes, post talks, and much more. Today, we have with us Mr. Shashank Mishra. Shashank's extraordinary consistency and his sheer hard work helped him become a data engineer at Amazon India. Previously, he worked at two other tech giants, namely McKinsey and Company and Paytm. He believes that technology can change the world, and hence he has a YouTube channel named eLearning Bridge, where he talks to industry experts about different domains and technology. eLearning Bridge helps students to get in-depth knowledge about current technologies and enables them to shape their career path accordingly. Apart from being an expert in his own field, Shashank is a very humble person and a genuinely nice human being. So please help me in welcoming Mr. Shashank Mishra, aka eLearning Bridge. The stage is all yours, sir.
Hey, thanks. Thank you so much for such a and first of all, I would like to thank the DSC team for giving me this opportunity to interact with you guys. So basically, the topic today is obviously we are going to talk about something related to data because nowadays, or like you guys might be listening about these terms, the data and all, data science, AI, ML, and all. Some of you might be working on these stuff as well. So here I am today just to give you guys an idea about the data, its importance. And since I am working as a data engineer, so I'll basically give you an idea how to start data engineering, what all tech stack you should know. And I'll also try to clarify some differences between the different job profiles in this data domain, because sometimes, at least for the freshers, it is very difficult to figure out like which profile is best suitable for them according to their skill sets. So I'll try my level best to clarify that, and in between, if you guys have any question, feel free to interrupt me. I would answer your questions, and after that, definitely there will be ask me anything kind of session. You can put up anything you want to know from my side related to anything, your preparation roadmap, cracking interviews, anything you want to know from my side. So I've prepared not very like I have prepared something for you. The slides. First of all, I'm not very good at making slides. Even I'm a part of industry right now, but still I'm very bad at it. So don't judge me on that. So yeah, like as team introduced me, right now I'm working as a data engineer at Amazon, and previously worked with McKinsey and Company and Paytm, and did my master's in computer application from NIT Allahabad. And yep, this lockdown period gave a wonderful opportunity to give something back to the community, because before that I was just taking from the community, but now it was the high time when I was in such a good state where I could contribute something in the community. So I started this channel where I used to bring people from different backgrounds. Mostly they are from the tier 3 colleges, and I used to present their story in front of the audience, and their roadmap, their success stories, and how they were able to make into the tech giants, what all things they followed, some extra resources, what could even like help the people to get motivated, and basically share a correct roadmap which a normal people, like everybody can follow that, not a normal one. I'm just saying that it's an idea to represent their roadmap in front of you, because we have this thought, obviously, like 99% people have this thought that being from the knowledge normal colleges or the tier 3 colleges, it's very hard to get into the tech giants or the fan. So I'm just trying to break that myth from my channel. So hope whenever you guys get a chance, do visit that channel. Hope it would help you as well. So let's move on. the main topic here. The first thing is basically I'll talk about why data is the future and why everybody is talking about that. So there are beautiful comparisons made where data has been compared as a new oil, new gold, or you can say the future. So why everybody is basically talking about that. So obviously we can know its importance. Let's say even when we compare the today's time or with the like 10 years backs or 20-year backs, and if we talk about the advancement of technology and whatever futuristic things are going on, so obviously data has a very very big role because of like because of this data it wouldn't have been possible for anybody or for any enterprise to evaluate or to decide their future growth or to plan their things accordingly, because data was the only thing which could have given them an idea that hey, in the past decade you have done this were the stats and how things have been for you since last 10 years and last 20 years. And if you are like data basically want to talk to you, but it's your responsibility to listen what data is actually trying to say. So that's the importance of the data, because nowadays even every enterprise, every single enterprise want to utilize their data. They do not want to keep it and in some data warehouses, and they do not want to get it into the waste, because it it has some really really important meaning, and if we are able to analyze it properly, definitely we will be able to take data driven decision. So why data is important? The technical definition I would like to say that to take data driven business decisions, like analyze the things, see the pattern that in the last quarter, in the last decade, what you have done, where you did the expenses, what was your revenue, where what was the reasons where your customer growth was high, what were the reasons where you didn't get that much customers, so that you can plan your things, you can plan your business, right? So that was the thing. So here I'll basically try, I'd like to talk about the comparison made here. First, like data is an essential resource that powers the information economy in much the way that oil has fueled the industrial economy. So here you can definitely see that information economy has compared with industrial economy. So exactly like the oil, we all know, has fueled the industrial economy, and in the same way data is the essential part to empower the information economy, because based on that information you are taking the decisions, and that will help you to grow you, that will help you to gain extra revenues, that will help you to make your marketplace or your business or your customer base very very good. Next, like information can be extracted from data just as energy can be extracted from the oil. So here you can see the comparison is like information can be extracted from data just as energy can be, or from the oil. Like energy and information again compared with each other. From data, what we get useful information. From oil, what we get other things. Third, data flow like oil, but we must drill down exactly into data to extract value from it. Data promises a plethora of new uses, diagnosis of diseases, direction of traffic patterns, etc. Just as oil has produced useful plastics, petrochemicals, lubricants, gasolines, and home heating. So we have the raw oil, and when we start filtering it, so on different stages we used to get different products like plastics, different kind of gas, lubricants. So in the similar fashion, let's say dedicatedly you are working on a particular sector. Let's say it could be healthcare sector. Okay, so in the healthcare, you have the data of different patients, right? Their diseases and what kind of medicure they are following, and what kind of diseases they have. So based on that, you can definitely, if you put different filtration layer, if you put different business logics, then definitely in the similar fashion on different filtration layers, you will get different kind of information which can help you to improve the thing, which can help you to predict the things. The very best example, like diagnosis of diseases, cancer detection, and like many more. Like there are a hell lot of examples. And the next one, the life cycle of oil is defined by process, extraction, refining, and distribution. So when we have a raw oil, there are three major steps. First is extracted from somewhere. The middle step is refining, the filtration, the purification. And the last stage is distribution to different vendors. In the similar fashion, what we used to do with the data, we used to follow three steps. First is extraction, second is transformation, third is load, which we used to call the ETL processing. So extraction is nothing to pull the data from different sources, and that source could be anything. It could be your transaction databases like MySQL, Postgres. It could be your NoSQL databases like HBase, Cassandra, MongoDB, anything. It could be your Salesforce. It could be any SaaS application like software as a service. It could be any SaaS application. It could be even API. It could be any cloud sort of thing. So you can pull data, that is extraction, and the middle layer is transformation. Obviously, to take or to derive any useful information, we need to put some logic that, hey, we have this raw data, then what we want from the raw data, kind of logic we want to implement, and that implementation of business logic is being called as the transformation. The next is load. Obviously, when we transform the data, we have something meaningful in the well structured form. So to cater the different business use cases, to cater the different customers, we need to dump it somewhere. Again, it could be anything. It could be any distributed file system. It could be any transactional database. It could be any NoSQL database, right? So the next and the last point is like the traditional oil powered the transportation era in the same way that data as the new oil is also powering the emerging transportation options like driverless cars and hyperloops, which are based on advanced synthesis of data in form of algorithms and knowledge without use of fossil fuel. So we all know when if we talk about the traditional transportation kind of thing, then oil was the uh, thing which basically powered or gave it basically given a new evolution of that traditional transportation like the diesel, petrol. Okay, and in the similar fashion, now data is helping us to do that, to write that kind of application, predictive application algorithms, which can basically work like that. Means the driverless cars and the hyperloops. What we are trying to there, we are trying to write some complex mathematical models, and we used to train and test the models. Okay, and based on that, based on those recognition, based on that pattern finding, we were able to build such kind of driverless cars. Like it is traveling, it is sensing everything. Based on the sensors, it is taking the decision, like again become decision. So like it is following some pattern, it is analyzing the thing, and based on that it is taking the decisions. So that was the comparison made, and I know like that comparison, or the if I say that I need to cover the future, or I need to cover the topic, what is the future of data, then uh, it would be hard enough to cover it in itself a book, I would say. The future is really broad, and like everything, every enterprise, whether it's healthcare sector, banking, finance, it is entertainment, everywhere data is everywhere, and you need to use it according to your business use cases. So this is the main confusing topic here. I know most of you guys are probably thinking about these profiles and might be hearing about these terms. Some of you might be working on these parts. So first, guys, I would like to clarify one thing, that the beauty of this data domain is that let's say you are someone who loves programming a lot, who is very much into the data structure algorithms, who loves system designing, like creating very large scale systems using optimal system, very high scaled, high available systems, using different components like databases and network protocoling, backend system, microservices, and picking up data and over the network transmission or the data transmission. Okay, so if you are someone who is very much into it, then you have good profiles in this data domain with the good pay scale. And let's say if you are someone who is not that much good, who even don't like programming, even like structures and algorithm, but that guy is good with business logic implementation. So implementation, the business logic implementation is not necessary to be coded, right? It's not like that you need to code everything. Okay, to make things functional, programming has its own like zone where you are using it to solve some problems. But business problem or business use case would be common for everyone, for everything. Let's say if somebody is very good in writing SQL queries, so that guy even can solve that common use case to transform the data with some business logic. And if there is a guy who is very much good into the programming, data structures and algorithms, he can code using some good frameworks, using some good libraries, and using his knowledge of programming and data structures. That guy can process it. Okay, so that's the beauty of this data domain. If you are good with those stuff, then you have good profiles with good pay scale. If you are someone who is not good with the DSAs programming and all, but good with logical thinking, you are good with analytical thinking, then definitely you have good job profiles with high pay scale. So that was a thing I just wanted to let you know, guys. And now I'll talk upon a very important topic, which is very confusing. And again, most of you used to get confused that sometimes, even let's say I have seen even like people who are working even as a business analyst, people used to ping them that, can you guys tell me about the roadmap of data science, how to enter into it, what needs to be studied and all. So first thing, guys, you should like clearly understand the roles and responsibilities. Even let's say in the college time you started working on machine learning, you started working on data engineering or data science, you should understand what is the exact role and responsibility of that profile. Otherwise, you won't be able to take a decision, and you won't be able to like enhance your skills, or you won't be able to get a correct path. Okay, so that's the problem here. People are getting confused. They are mixing up the roles and responsibilities. They think data engineer also knows about how predictive modeling works, how deep learning works. So no, it's not like that. Everybody has its role and responsibilities in the data domain. So as a data engineer, if I say what is the role of data engineer, they are the one who work as a frontline, you can say frontline warriors, I would say, in an organization, because they are the one who will be doing everything for the down systems. So we are the one who are very much into the algorithms, who are very much into the distributed computation and storage, real-time system, batch systems, and creating those scalable pipelines. We love to code. That's why we are using our algorithmic skills here, data structures, algorithms, and all. So in the data engineering profile, we used to create large scale of data pipelines, and data pipelines are nothing. It's basically you pull something from the sources. And why I'm calling that scalable data, because your data is growing very fast every day. So your pipeline should be scalable enough to handle the huge spike. Let's say data was 1 TB or 10 TB in your source system, and next day it grown into the 10 petabytes, then your pipeline shouldn't get crashed. So that's how you need to write your pipelines. And again, load the last part, like whatever you have generated or whatever you have load it into the downstream system for further analysis. Now you are basically clear about the roles and responsibilities of a data engineer. So again, like they are the one who are in the front line. Business teams will come to them, they will ask them about their business use cases, they will provide all the necessary requirements, that where the data is located, what all data sets they need, and what all business transformation they want us to perform, and where they want to load the data. So but the data engineer, it's our responsibility to write those kind of scalable and optimized pipelines. Scalable, I clarified the meaning. Optimized means obviously distributed computation always takes good amount of time for execution and good amount of time, resources, good amount of resources to execute the things. So you need to write your transformation in such optimal way that it is consuming less amount of resources and it is very fast to execute the large amount of data. So next I was talking about the data scientists. So data scientists, again, they are the one, as I talked about, data engineers are done with their processes, they have transformed the data. Right now it is available in the downstream system. So what, like obviously data scientists are doing, they are working on some mathematical parts. They will try to write those good mathematical models which is basically solving the actual purpose, like predicting the things, right, recognizing the things based on some previous patterns and all. So and how they basically do it, obviously that's how it is written that the data science is a part mathematician, they have to be good with mathematical concepts, they need to aware with that. And I'm not saying that you should have a very good prior knowledge or you should have a PhD or masters in that. This is the thing which is some sort of obviously we have read this basic maths in our college time or school time, but now it's time to learn its advanced implementations. So that thing you can learn and while implementing the things, while reading the things, while learning the things. So but yeah, there will be mathematics, good mathematics involved with that. You can run, you cannot run away from that. And those good mathematical models are like, they data scientists basically used to work on some training data and test data. They are not concerned about how data is coming from different sources, how it was transformed and all. Like otherwise it would be a very tedious thing for them, like to handling the data pipelines as well. It is correctly available, and the quality of the data, the cleaning, cleansing and all. So here they, for them the transform data is here. Now they'll be working on training test models and will try to write the good mathematical good fit models to serve the actual purpose. Next, the machine learning engineers. Again, people used to say that's how now. I'm sure that if I'm clarifying the difference between these job profiles, you guys would be able to relate that if anybody of you was basically confused earlier about these job profiles and mixed data engineering and data science profile together, then I hope it would have clarified your confusion. So again, the machine learning engineers, these are the guys, you can treat them as all-rounder. They should have a good knowledge of data engineering skill sets. They should have a good knowledge about the data scientist roles as well, because data engineers did everything for you. They made things available for you, they transformed data and all. Data scientists created their mathematical good models. Now who will be there to implement the things on the large scale of data on the downstream system? Who will do that? Machine learning engineer will do that. So he will basically try to implement that good fit model, that model onto the large scale of data which is present in the downstream systems. So again, that's why it's become for the machine learning engineer to know how the pipelines are working, or if something happens or pipeline get broken, then he could quickly look into the issues, or then figure out what were the transformations applied there. And similarly goes with the data science roles. So I hope now the confusion is between these profile is it's clear. And again, there are profiles I talked about where if you think you are not someone who is very much good with the programming, data structures and all, you can look for the data analyst profile, you can look for the business analyst profile, you can look for the ETL developer, you can look for the profile BI engineer. So those are the profile where less coding and less programming is needed. Next, I'll basically talk about the things to know to crack data engineering role in top companies. Okay, and the thing which I have covered here, obviously, even if you are someone who are looking for the different profiles that I talked about later part, the data analyst, business analyst, BI engineer, and all, these skill sets are necessary for them as well. But I'll basically categorize them on the basis like must to have and good to have. Then you can again like figure out which one would be more suitable for you. Okay, so yep, I was talking about the part like I will try to categorize which is good to have and must to have for the profile. First, I talked about the programming like Python, Java, Scala. If you are like good with C and C++ and you are using it for the competitive programming and all, then it's time to forget about that, because entering into the data world, obviously those logical implementation would help you, but like for to work with this data profiles, you need to be good with either Python, Java, and R as well. I'll talk about why. So programming, if, that's what I was saying. If you are probably thinking for the first zone where I talk about you have to be technically good with DSAs, programming and all, then it's must have for that profile, and it's good to have for the second zone, the BI, data analyst, and ETL developers and all, because again, there would be a time where you guys were supposed to write some automation part or some shell scripts or Python scripts which is pulling data from SFTP servers and all. Okay, so that kind of thing you might come up and you need to do that. So it would be great, and it would add a good plus in your job profile or resume if you know that thing. Next is SQL scripting. It is must to have for both zone 1 and zone 2, because let's say you have data, you have raw data, but you want to see it, what are the columns here, and if you want to do the initial checks like how many records, and if you want to perform any aggregation on columns, and you want to check like for this particular timestamps the records and the unique records, deduplicates something, right? So if you want to do that, definitely you need to explore the data, and to explore that you should have a good SQL writing scripts, because most of the time your data source would be like any database or any NoSQL database. Next is big data system like Hadoop, Hive, Spark. Okay, so this one is again the must to have for the profiles like data engineering and the BI engineering and the ETL developer, right? And sometimes data scientists also used to work with that, and machine learning engineers. So big data ecosystem, basically everybody, whoever is working in this data domain, he or she should know what are the different of it, like distributed computation, distributed storages, and if there is any popular or any working or good framework, then he she should know about it, like the popular one, Hadoop, Hive, Spark. So these are the basically things, libraries or frameworks which you will be using in different projects, in different business use cases. So definitely you should be aware with the batch processing frameworks and real-time data processing frameworks. Okay. Next, the real-time data processing. It is very much important for the data engineers. They should know about that, like how real-time data processing works, like the pub sub kind of model, and framework like Kafka, Kinesis, and Apache Nifi, Flink. So these kind of things which are performing or working on some real time of data and doing the real time data processing and all, you should know about that. Next, the data warehousing part, it is must to have for both of the zones, because you are going to work on data thing, or you are going to work data domain. Then you should know like how a data warehouse looks like, right? Let's say if you are working on Amazon e-commerce site, and if you have no idea like in the background what kind of tables will be there, what will be the dimension table, what will be the fact table, and how they are related with each other, what is star schema, what is snowflake schema. So if you are not aware with that, then definitely it's again a problem, and it would be a kind of negative sign for the profile. So you should be good with that. Next, the data visualization tools, it is must to have for the second zone, and good to have for the first zone, because as I said, the data analyst, business analyst, BI, and ETL developers, mostly they will be using the frameworks. They won't be doing the things programmatically, and most of the time they will be working closely with the clients, and clients always used to see the things in pictorial notations. If you will send an Excel file or a CSV file, which is like whatever you transform data you had, you will send it in the CSV files and all. Definitely they won't be able to figure out any pattern. Even we can't even figure out what is the pattern. But if we visualize it in terms of the bar charts, pie charts, and line charts, any kind of that thing, then it would be much more easier for them to figure out what is the pattern, what is the hidden pattern. So when the powerful tools like Tableau is here, popular one, and Power BI is here. Next one is ETL frameworks like Informatica Talent. It is must to have for the second zone, because you won't be programming the things. Definitely you should be using some frameworks where you have drag and drop kind of features which you can use to build your ETL pipelines. Next, the transactional and NoSQL databases must to have for both of the zones. And the last very important part, the cloud services, because we all know no enterprise is going to work on the on-premises kind of stuff. Why? They are is like the maintenance, very big issue. Security, that is again a major issue. Third one is the cost. So these are the things which is going to be like a hurdle for any enterprise if they are working on-premises systems. Nowadays, everything is on cloud. Then definitely you should know what all good services which are being used on cloud to perform the things, like how you what are services which are being used for distributed computation, for distributed storage. Is there is any cloud service which is like exactly like any NoSQL database or SQL database? Is there any kind of service which is like a dummy Linux machine like AWS EC2, for an example? You should know about these things, and it becomes very very important if you have, definitely if you have these kind of skill sets, and uh, would say like these kind of tech stack in your resume and job profile, and if you had worked on good projects, then definitely like you will get very very good opportunities. And trust me, companies are hiring really really aggressively for these data domain profiles. You, what you need to do, you just need to do a good hands on. You need to have a good skill set according to your role and responsibilities. Go through with that and prepare yourself accordingly. Do not just get influenced by random people who is talking about that data science is machine learning is this. Spend some time, figure out what is the actual role and responsibilities, how they are working in the industry, those guys are, what is their day-to-day activity, and plan your roadmap accordingly. Otherwise, there are enormous things to cover and to read. It will definitely waste your time and you will end up with nothing. That's what I had to say about the main part, like the data and whatever I've shared based on my experience. But now I'll definitely jump onto the main part, the questions, because we have less time remaining. So please ask your question, guys.
Okay, so Yes, guys, we are going to do it the same way like we have been doing throughout the event. You guys can raise your hand and we'll allow you one by one. Okay, so there are a few questions in the chat box, sir. So you can look at them.
Okay, let me open that. Okay. Bhaiya, do I need to do DSA for getting into data science? No, for the data science, it's not needed at all. Next, Vishkorma again. Do you handle a lot of big data? Yes, definitely. Like petabytes, hexabytes, you can, whatever big number you can imagine, we used to handle that. Tanya, is big data engineer different from data? Yes, Tanya, it is different. That's what I said. As a data engineer, I definitely, because I know this is very confusing, and I definitely wanted to cover that part, that why people are so much confused, and they used to relate the profiles that they every like if, that's what example in very first step, that people used to ask a business analyst or data analyst that can you guide us about the roadmap of data scientist. Again, if you are not sure about what a data analyst do, what a business analyst do, what a data scientist do, then that means you are on a wrong track and you are following a wrong roadmap. First, figure out, dedicate a good amount of time, go through with different job description. The best way to figure out what a data scientist do, jump on any company's career website, let's say Amazon, Google, Facebook, anywhere, go through the any open job role or closed job role, and go with the job description, what they have written there. Definitely help you to understand, oh, like a data scientist to create some model and all, he should have good idea about deep learning, a good knowledge about the flow and all. So plan in that direction. And to answer your question, data have a different responsibility, and the data analyst directly with the clients and directly with the
Hello.
business. You guys will pick. Can you hear me?
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt, but your voice is breaking a lot. Can something be done about it? Like, because we are not able to hear you. There's a lot of disturbance.
Okay, could be. I'm not sure. Like, could be the network issue. Let me know.
Okay.
I can turn off my screen, probably the net because of the network bandwidth. It will be
Yeah,
there.
that would help. That would help. Yes, sir.
Is it audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like you should understand basically the difference of your roles and responsibilities. And again, I was saying the best way, go through with the job description, visit the career sites of different companies, go through like what they need from a data analyst, what kind of skill sets, what kind of tech stack, these kind of things. Then you will have a good understanding that about your job role and profile. So yep. Next, Kashish. As a college student, how can we determine if data engineering is good fit for us or not? That's a very good question, and let me answer this thing. Uh, so, like on daily basis, like n numbers of students, mostly freshers and some basically industry level people, used to ping me, who want to either switch into the data domain, who either want to start their career into data domain. But they used to tell me one thing, that how to choose it, how to figure out whether it is good for or not. So first thing, what I would like to say, guys, that whenever you are entering into any domain, you should build up your interest first. And I have seen that. I used to keep posting on my LinkedIn profile that do not run behind data science, AI, ML, just because you are seeing someone else around you is doing that. If you are someone who is very good with iOS development, who is very good with web development and working on some fabulous new tech frameworks, then please do not divert your mind, because every single domain uh, has its own importance in the IT world. IT world cannot run just or you can say IT domain cannot run with data science, AI, ML only. Like, right there are the things like Android, iOS backend development, cyber security, network admin thing, kind of things which are the essential or the very much required for the IT industry. First, dedicate good amount of time. It's if you are a college student, then please first explore, give a time to Android part, iOS part, web development, data science, data engineering, data analyst part, right? And then try to figure out which look more fascinating to you. And once you are like very much confident about your skill sets and your career domain and whatever you were thinking, then you will be able to make a good decision that yep, I like data engineering because there I will get a chance to program the things, there I will get a chance to showcase my data structures, algorithm skills. I will be working on cloud services, I will be working on distributed computation storage. And that was the thing which looked very fascinating to me when I was moving from the software engineering role to data engineering. And that was the point where I built my interest first. I didn't directly jump onto the data engineering and randomly start the thing. I built up my interest first. So first build the interest and then look forward for any domain. The next again question from Vishwakarma sir: what is the interview procedure of data engineer and data? So Vishkarma, to answer that, I have covered lots of interview experience on my YouTube channel. You can visit that. There are interview experiences for data engineer. Even I have covered like data engineering interview experience for Paytm, for McKinsey, and for Amazon. And I have called few people who have shared their experience for the data science interview experience, their roadmap on my channel. You can definitely visit that. Question from Rishi: can you think of a time where you experience an unexpected problem? And to be very honest, being a guy who is working in data domain on daily basis, you used to see those unexpected problems because data has no shape, data has nothing. You say means it's unpredictable sometimes, right? When you deal with such kind of large amount of data or fast growing data on the large scale of systems, again and again you will be like dealing with the unexpected problems. And that's the beauty of this data domain. I would say very honestly, I'd be very honest with my words. On daily basis we used to face lots of challenges because it's never easy to deal with such large amount of data and to work around that. You will be dealing with that, but that's how I love my profile, and I used to love my daily activities because it makes me a better engineer whenever you used to deal with unexpected challenges. Next from Abhishek sir: what kind of projects does a data engineer work upon? We honestly say, first, definitely when you are starting with it, or you can say when you are a noob, then definitely start with some start projects which is like related to the processing. And for that you can start with either Hadoop or the Spark, okay? And even some SQL writing frameworks which were built on top of Hadoop, like Hive, Apache Pig, okay? You should do that, okay? And once you are good, or you have a good hands-on experience on different things like cloud services, transactional databases, NoSQL databases, and I would say the frameworks, whatever I was talking about, then the very best thing and the best thing to showcase on your resume or to learn the things, you should work on the real-time pipelines, because real-time pipelines are very challenging to handle, and it will give you a good exposure to learn different things. Because when I started working on the real-time data pipelines, I learned so many things, like the PubSub kind of model, Apache Kafka, AWS Kinesis, like how we poll the data and how we put it somewhere and then how we consume it, right? So I would definitely recommend someone, if he or she is starting with it, then go for the real-time data processing pipelines. Next, the Akshat, is cybersecurity is included. Cybersecurity, I won't say, but yep, definitely being even a data engineer or something, we need to take care about the security of data, right? Whenever we set up the things on the cloud, we carefully test it, we carefully grant the permissions to different users or even some external services or external cross accounts, right? So I wouldn't say we dedicatedly work as a cyber security engineer because we have different kind of skill sets and different needs to handle, but some kind of security things we need to maintain. But in an enterprise, definitely this one cyber security is much needed, and there are dedicated job profiles and I would say uh, dedicated teams who take care of these things, like large amount of cluster and whatever permissions are set there, how data is coming, whether it is encrypted or not. So they used to take care of that part. Next is again Kashish. Okay, so our college has started a data science degree, like we have computer science uh, as I will passing out in 2021. How do you recommend us to stay updated with new technologies when we are working in a full-time job? So it's I would say it's someone's personal interest, because I have seen people who are working like since last 5 years, 6 years, and they do not even know about the latest frameworks. They are continuously working on their old ideology. But the best way to deal with it is you should keep on focusing on your personal interest. You have to be tech enthusiast. uh, let's say whatever frameworks you are working, keep on checking its latest documentation, if is there is any new update, and try to keep on searching that is there any competitor of that framework in the market. If there is any, then what all best thing it is providing. So that, because being an engineer, you have to be very very adaptive. And in an IT industry, if you are thinking to grow, and if you are like really interested for these tech part, then you should keep on doing these things by your own interest. And in the IT rule, again, it's a thumb rule that not keeping yourself updated on daily basis, then definitely you will have no future, and probably like you are gone from the IT industry if you are not updated. So that's the advice I would like to say. If you are looking forward for any, and or if you are into a job profile, then keep on doing the things, follow the best practices, follow blogs or channels or official documentation, very much important, to just keep on doing the comparison, and you will definitely keep yourself updated.
Okay, so sir, I also have one question. My question is like how do we go into the research area in these fields, like machine learning and deep learning? Like there's a lot of content on application and how to do certain things, but how
Mhm.
do we pursue some research? For example, if I have interest in say super resolution or something like
Mhm.
that, so how do I pursue my research interest in it? Like how do I make approach it so that I can write a research paper in it?
So to be very honest, to approach anything, I would say, I mean, let's say you have chosen any topic. First of all, you all know about the like research papers and all. It's obviously it takes a effort to come up with that idea or to add something into it. So first thing I would say, if you are thinking about that, your idea definitely should be unique. Okay, and next one. For that, I would say, if you are trying to be into the research field and all, then you should connect with people who are very much into it, right? I will honestly say I'm not the right guy to answer that question, because even I haven't done that kind of thing. Okay, so but what I can suggest is basically reach out to the good people who were into it, take suggestions from that. And for the research paper, again, your idea should be unique, and you should be more, you should work on most exploratory things. And if your idea is something which is adding some meaning to the social, like social causes, then again, like it would be a definitely I would say a must to go thing. And you should keep on checking, I guess, IEEE, is it? I'm not definitely sure, man. That's why I'm commenting on that part, that how you can approach and all. I'm just saying that part, you topic should be unique and it should be around the social causes. That would be the very, very best thing. And stay in touch with good people who are doing who are working on their research field, and how you can approach the people that will help you. And being an engineer and being a full-time employee of any company, I would won't comment anything on the research paper part.
Okay, so thank you for that. There's another question in the chat box.
Mhm. Tanay, if a computer science or computer and communication major gains knowledge of data science and learn the required skills of the person who has a data science engineering degree, still have a edge over the CSE. So there is, I do not think that edge, I do not even consider this term. Let's say if you have done this or you have this and that degree, you will have some edge over that CSE or CEC student. No, it's not like that. Whatever you are doing, you should be good in that domain. Like CSE is again, uh, I know data is a very, very important thing, and there are lots of good profiles in the market, and like very, very good high pay scale job profiles. But again, I'm saying the CSE students, they are someone who basically knows everything. They know their core subjects. They even, sometimes you will find them who are working on different domains in parallel. Like somebody is good with web development, and somehow in parallel he or she is implementing or working on those machine learning kind of stuff. So they are someone who are, I would say, who will have again a good advantage with their curriculum and with their degrees and all. But again, matter is here, whatever you are doing, whether you have a good skill set or not. Because in the market or industry is open for everybody. They just used to check that like if you have at least if I talk about the good companies, good product based companies, they do not even check whether you are from CSE background or not. uh, they mostly focus on your skill sets actually, and what kind of things, what kind of projects you have worked upon, and based upon that they will judge your profile and shortlist you. And try to learn it definitely in your, when you are in college time. You should keep on working on your skill set. I'll take one example. I feel one guy on my channel, he was from civil engineering background, and in the college time what he did, he basically worked very much on his analytical part. He started working on exploring the data analytics thing, and even his in his college time he did good projects around the data science domain. And he was actively contributing on Kaggle or taking participations on analytics with Dan Kaggle. Uh, Basically gain, even from the civil engineering background, he get good expertise on the skill sets of data science. He did good some projects, and he landed up in a very, very good company with good pay scale. So definitely that company didn't even check his background, whether he is coming from the civil engineering, EC, triple E and all. They definitely look on the analytical thinking, logical thinking, and the skill set she should have for the data science role. So that's what I would say, Tanay.
So yeah, I have one or two questions of my own, but I'm waiting if anyone else has to ask anything. So I'll let them ask first. So anyone?
So I got a question on my personal message. So I think the person is not able to access the chat, so he just gave me. So he's
Yeah.
asking, which online course would you suggest for laying foundation in data science and data engineering for beginners?
First, my first answer for that is again, please do not mix up the things. At a single time, you cannot think about the data science, you cannot think about the data engineering. Like I can recommend you the things, no doubt, but again, I would suggest one thing: please choose your career path very wisely according to your interest, whether you are dedicatedly looking for data science role or you are looking for the data engineering. But first, he basically asked for the data science. Definitely, I would say there are good courses on Udemy and Coursera. You can follow that. And for the machine learning part, you can follow Andrew Ng on YouTube. He also have good courses on Coursera. Even I guess he's a founder or co-founder of Coursera, right? So definitely you can check him out. And for the courses, I'll definitely suggest only the Udemy and Coursera platform. And there are good courses on that science. Yep, go ahead, Dhruv.
Yeah. So, sir, from what I understand from this talk and from my prerequisite knowledge, big data analytics is a part of like it's more closely related to data science, right?
Which one? The big data.
Yes, sir.
Again, just a little correction. Do not, again, please, guys, do not relate everything with data science, AI, ML, or the predictive things or the fancy stuff is going around the world, like automating the things, or you have mask detection and all. So, data is not everything all about that. That's what I just want to like. This is a very broad topic and I cannot even cover it in 1 hour. Even if I will have like 4 or 5 hours, there are lots of things to explain, and there are very very minor differences I would like to clear. But if I would like to summarize the thing, that first you should understand the roles and responsibilities of a particular job profile. That is the very very first thing, right? You need to understand what a data scientist is doing, what a data engineer is doing, because when you're working on a big data solutions, first thing depends on the problem use case. Second, there are multiple components, because there will be a source and there will be in on the fly transformation, there will be destination where you need to pull the data, process it, you need to land the data, and then on top of that you guys will be doing some like analytical things. And to do the analytical things, you have data scientists in place, you have machine learning engineer, you have guys who are making dashboards on top of it, like the data analysts and business analysts. And there are guys who are automating things, or who are again doing the ETL pipelines on, or creating ETL pipelines on transform data to serve another business kind of problem, right? So there are multiple things guys involved. Please do not get confused with so many terminologies. Do not mix up the roles and responsibilities. Do not mix up the job profiles. Again, based on your interest, that's what I said. Let's say you are someone who loves programming, DSAs and all, you have profiles. If you are not liking that, you have different profiles. If you are very much into using the cloud services and all, or you love working on backend systems and cool scalable distributed system, you have profiles. If you are not someone who used to love on frameworks using the drag and drop kind of features and all, you have different job profiles. Please explore that, build up your interest, explore the data field, data job profile which you want to work upon, and then choose your roadmap accordingly. That's what I would like to summarize here.
So the follow-up question I have to this is like in our big data analytics course that was taught to us in our college, our faculty used the software by the name RapidMiner very extensively. So I just wanted to know, sir, is it a good idea to like practice on RapidMiner? Does it like limit our skills? Because I think that using a programming language, I don't know, just inherently it comes to me like that using a programming language would be much better for the big data analytics. So is
Yeah,
it right or
definitely. Definitely, your understanding is correct. And for the colleges, I will definitely not blame them, because everybody know the standards of education or the things the institutes are following. But yeah, it's our responsibility to stay updated and like without using the frameworks and doing the things, I would say it would be much more beneficial to you. And if you are planning that, definitely go for it and try to do the things programmatically. But yeah, again, focus will be on interest, because everybody has its different taste. Somebody wants to like code the thing, somebody do not want, right? So based on that, you can pick up the things and work accordingly. But to answer your question, Dhruv, yeah, definitely you should go for it, man. Okay, so I'll just paste one link, guys, here in the chat box. So what is basically the Cryo.do platform, basically the best development platform, I would say. So what they are basically doing, they are providing the what I would say, project-based learning only. What I'm just basically, why I'm pasting that link here, because that link is active for the 30th December, and they have some free perks on that from the e-learning bridge site. As I just want you to guys avail that, because let's say if you are looking for the product-based company interviews, free guide for mini projects and resume building review and some extra scholarship, then definitely you can sign up and unlock those perks. So I have pasted it in the group. It's a platform dedicatedly for the project-based learning. It has nothing to do with the DSAs only and all that kind of stuff, because we all know about the importance of the dev skills. So right now they are working, mainly they have covered the full stack development and backend development. So if anyone who has joined the talk and is interested for that full stack and the backend, then definitely please avail those perks, free perks, before the 30th December. So I thought it would help you. That's why I pasted it. I guess I can see one question at Amazon. How feasible
Yes.
it is for a software engineer switch their profile to data science or data engineering profile? In Amazon, I would say, Janvi, it's feasible because Amazon. In Amazon, we work as a team, different teams, and people used to take internal movements based on different their skill sets. So let's say you were targeting, like you were working on software engineering field, and you have that kind of skill sets. And if you want to take an internal movement, so that team will basically judge you on one or two interview rounds, and there they will basically try to test your skill set and your knowledge about that particular domain for their data science or data engineering. So in Amazon, definitely, Janvi, I would say it's feasible to move into different teams. Even I have seen people who are moving from support role to the SD, like they were working as a cloud support engineer or network admin, and they took a move into the software industry. I have seen people who are working as a business analyst and took a move into the data engineering. And I have clarified the difference between these profiles so you can understand. Like definitely they worked upon their sets and took internal movement. So in Amazon, it's quite possible.
Uh, so I would like to thank you, sir, for taking out time from your schedule and doing this AMA with us. It was a very informative session, and I hope everyone learned a lot. And everyone, please check out the link that sir has shared, and you can all reach out to him, as he said, on LinkedIn or any other platform. Also, check out his YouTube channel. So that is there. And today we are not going to have any quiz. Once again, sir, I would like to thank you for taking out time and having this AMA session with us. We at DSC
Yeah.
really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dhruv and team for inviting me. It was a great pleasure talking to you guys. I love the interaction and love sharing my experience with you guys. Hope we will meet soon or meet soon. So yep, take care, guys, and all the very best. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
We hope to see you soon tomorrow, guys. Tomorrow we'll be having Shreya Prasad with us. Who'll be talking on interview prep, and she'll be teaching you trees. So good night, everybody, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.